I used to be the CEO of Plantain. Plantain is a media company in the midst of a digital transformation. And I'm going to share a little story about that time. One morning, Ronnie, my chief digital officer, came to my office and said, "Murielle, you're going to be really proud of what I did. Yesterday, I had a full day of important meetings, and I canceled them all to go riding with my motorbike instead." And Ronnie was right. I was truly proud of what he did, because he had finally understood that in digital times, he needed to manage his energy and his mood and not his time. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why. But first, let's look at a graph. Let's look at how long it took for different technologies to hit 50 million users. From 75 years for the telephone, to 13 years for television, 9 months for Twitter, and 35 days for Angry Birds. It takes us less and less time to adopt new technologies. But what does that mean for organizations? They have less and less time to adapt themselves to these new technologies. And I believe that is why currently 1 out of 3 companies disappears within 5 years, big or small. And that is the first message I want to give. The speed of change is shattering our business techniques. And at Plantain, because we weren't adapted to the fast pace of change, we faced the following issues. We all had way too many things to do. Our plans kept changing constantly. The decision process became too slow or inefficient. And the need to collaborate between departments had outgrown our current functional structure, leading to silo thinking. And all that was creating stress and burnouts. And instead of working differently, we first started by working harder and harder and harder, until we hit our aha moment. We were going to work smarter. We were going to adopt all these new technologies like working agile, in cross-functional teams, increase empowerment, all these technologies that really work in digital times. But guess what? It didn't deliver the results we were expecting. Not because those were the wrong techniques, but because we didn't have the right mindset or the right culture to adopt these. And the culture of an organization is very much influenced by the habits of its leaders. And my habits that had served me so well in the past were now standing in the way of a successful transformation. Let me explain to you why. We all know how important it is to focus, to set priorities. Well, I couldn't do that in these digital times. Because I have been trained from a very young age to do everything that is expected from me. Like Pavlov trained his dog. In school, I got good grades if I did everything that was expected, and I was punished if I didn't do what was asked. And over the years, I excelled at this. In fact, it's probably one of the competencies that got me through university and so far in my career. I could deliver. But when your market is in disruption and you need to reinvent yourself, doing everything that is expected from you might lead to big failure. Because you really need to focus on a couple of things and do these extremely well, instead of trying to do everything half. But focusing meant saying no to people, ignoring people, and disappointing them, even my boss. And everything that I didn't deliver wasn't solving itself magically. It was generating chaos. And oh boy, I really hate disappointing people, and I hated chaos. I liked being in control. I needed to be in control. But in order to focus in fast-changing times, I needed to learn to say no at the cost of disappointing people, to accept some chaos, and to learn to let go. But this wasn't me and felt really uncomfortable. Be willing to surrender what you are for what you could become. And this is the second message I wanted to give. During the digital transformation of my company, I was losing my professional identity. I needed to adopt a new one. And I can assure you that this process did not happen smoothly. You might imagine it like this, but it felt more like this. I felt really bad at times, like a loser. I felt very vulnerable in those moments of crisis. And it was only when I had the courage to put myself in that vulnerable position that I learned and that I grew toward a new version of myself. And that is how our brain works. We face an opportunity or a threat, and the first question that pops up is, am I able to cope? This happens unconsciously. And when the answer is yes, you have the courage to go out of your comfort zone, to learn the new skills, and to grow. And that's usually when you seize the opportunities or fix the threat. But when the answer is no, you go back to your comfort zone, you feel safe, and you resist the change. And that's usually when you minimize or ignore the challenge, or you blame it on someone else. And with that side of the graph, the mood is anger, resentment, and resignation. And with the other side, it is peace and enthusiasm. But how often do you think you face new challenges in this fast-changing world? How often do you need to learn new skills in these digital times? Not once or twice a year, but constantly. So you'd better find a way to end on the good side of the graph. And I'm going to share 2 secrets with you on how you can achieve that. One is something you can do for yourself, and the other is something you can do for others. How can you increase your ability to cope? By increasing your energy. Just think about that for a second. When do you feel able to tackle a huge challenge? When you're full of energy, or when you're tired and exhausted? And think about your energy like you think about your cash. Would you spend more money than you earn over a long period of time? No, because you would go bankrupt. It is the same with your energy. If you do too many things that cost you energy, try to compensate them with things that give you energy. That is why at Plantain we had a happiness program, because we wanted people to grow and to tackle all the challenges. And riding his motorbike was what gave Ronnie his energy. But I promised you another secret, something that you can do for your team, for others. When you notice that the mood is anger, resentment, that there is blame or resistance to change, you can do something else, something that you probably didn't learn in school or in your career. You can listen with care. And listening with care means listening with and from your heart, without giving any advice. You just put yourself in the other person's shoes and you show that you care. And I learned to do this at Plantain. And when I did this, I noticed the mood of the other person shifting from anger and resentment towards peace and enthusiasm, ready to tackle all the challenges we faced. But of course, my energy balance had to be positive if I wanted to listen with care. And today, I see too much struggle in organizations. People fight, people suffer, people shut down their emotions, exhaust themselves, and that is only leading to the bad side of the graph and to bad results. Why not manage our energy level, listen to each other with care, and learn to lead with our hearts? That is how at Plantain we managed to transform ourselves as leaders and how we went through the digital transformation successfully. I learned to lead with my heart and my head. And my dream now is that other leaders start leading with their heart. And if you feel like joining this movement, you will find a little badge in your goodie bag, and you can wear that at work. And with that badge, you will show the world that as of today, you will lead with your heart as well. Thank you for joining this movement.